This is hard work, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to know. But shit, I'm slick and I'm fly and I'm slick. So slick I can fly like, oh my god, I'm flying, oh shit. Am I slick or fly? You don't know. I'm trying to pick. If I kill you while you driving, you'll be ghost riding your whip out with your girlfriend. Her and her girlfriend both riding my dick, my flow so ill. I told the doctor, help me, I'm dying, I'm sick. Sick and I'm supplying some shit. That's just crazy. I didn't want to rap over it because I wanted you to hear it, but I had to, I had to be in the moment. If you don't know about King Los, man, I'm telling you, he's one of the greatest of all time. Welcome to the show. This is Lunchtime TV. I'm on one. Listen, today I have been in here because I'm still on vacation. I've been in here cutting up all day. This is one of the first days in a long time where I feel like I've just spent the last hours, bro, just laughing like it at everything. I feel like we have a great show for you tonight. Shout out to anybody that's tuning in or will tune in. Again, make sure I don't, because I don't like, yes, I want more people to like come in and watch and join and all that, but I don't do a lot of what other YouTubers do or streamers where they're like and subscribe. And I just feel like that stuff should be a given, man. Like, share the stuff. You may not think it's the greatest, but somebody else might think this shit is kind of informative and a little bit funny, man. Share it. You never know who's having a tough day and might want some laughs. And they might not even laugh at the show. They might just laugh at my outfit. And that's cool too, because I'm able to help you in that moment. That's it. But let's see, man. We got a live show. Again, if you don't know about King Los, man, and shout out to my homie Ashley. Back in the day, I've talked about this on the show before, but I think Ashley and I met in like 2007 or 8 or some shit like that. Something like that. And she was like, yo, you should hear this rapper I've been listening to. And Cuddy's a rapper out of Baltimore. He spent 6+ years being with Bad Boy. And if you know anything about Bad Boy and how P. Diddy operates with his rappers, they usually sit on the shelf. He had Big. Big is hailed as one of the greatest, if not the greatest rapper of all time. And there's really a part of me that believes that Big is not the greatest rapper that Diddy ever had in his camp. And I think just from a lyrical standpoint, because I know you're going to be like, oh, Big has this, and he did this, and he's putting on for the hood. I know, I get it. I'm sorry. I just, in my opinion, I feel like when I hear King Los rap, a lot of times I'm always wondering, what was Diddy thinking? And why did he feel like Buddy had to sit on the shelf? Because when you go back and you listen to his mixtapes, and again, from a lyrical standpoint, when you think of rap, you think of bars, I think of like the best people to string the words together, give you stories, give you great cadence, and like make you feel the rhymes. There's not many that do it on an elite level. And King Los is one of those people. You heard the shit playing. I mean, what did he say? He said, I'm slick and I'm fly. I'm flying, I'm slick. So slick I can fly like, oh my God, I'm flying. Oh shit. Am I slicker or flyer? Don't know. I'm trying to pick. But if I kill you while you're driving, you'll be ghost riding your whip. I whipped your girlfriend. Now her and her girlfriend both riding my dick. My flow so ill. I told the doctor, help me. I'm dying. I'm sick. That's crazy to me. I don't understand, because I've posted this shit before. I've talked about it before, and people have really tried to come back to me and be like, that's not that good. And in those moments, I'd be wanting to be like, not that good? Well, go ahead, please. By all means, show me what type of rap abilities that you have to where you could come up with that and make all that shit connect and make sense and be fire and be slapped over the top of a beat. I'll wait. I always used to say that rap was very easy. Like, no, it take a lot of talent. This is coming from a guy who tried to be a rapper. I was a terrible rapper. Absolutely terrible. I will never, ever claim to have been a good rapper. Could I put some words together? Could I kill some beats that other people had already killed before? Yeah, a couple of times. I have 5 mixtapes. There's 2 songs out of all of those 5 mixtapes that I actually can tolerate listening to. And both of them are songs that are more like Drake type of rap, where you're like rapping to the ladies, because it was just less vulgar and all that. A lot of people, the way they rap is that they connect all of their words with the word nigga, or S my D, gun on the hip, S my D, back of the whip. You know, like it's like shit like that. Like, it doesn't take a lot of talent to do that, right? But then you have people that are like this, where they just go into it. I'll just give you a couple of records you can go check out. And I'll even leave them in the comments. Just my favorite King Los tracks. If you listen to the Dark Fantasy Freestyle, which is on the Louis Vuitton gift pack, or I think it was called that. Pop Champagne is a good one. I just played for you the AMILLIE remix, where at the time when that dropped, everybody who was a rapper did a flow to that beat. And only 2 people did a good job on it, in my opinion. Wayne, who was the original, and even Wayne's was not good in comparison to Los. And he also, King Los has one, if you ever listen to the record Ransom, another old Wayne and Drake beat, and he goes on there and he puts that shit to sleep. Now, again, you may not be a fan, but if you want to be put on to an artist who I think deserves to go to the Hall of Fame, this is somebody that I'm giving you today. King Los is elite. He's one of the GOATs. I really believe that y'all should go back and listen to it. Again, a white girl from the streets of Jacksonville told me about this Baltimore rapper who had been sitting on the shelf at Bad Boy for years and years and years. And I firmly believe, and I know people will argue about this, and they'll probably tell me to go to hell. Anybody who actually is involved in the music industry will look at this and they'll be like, this nigga needs to go to hell because he doesn't know what he's talking about. How dare he ever say that somebody was better than Big? I know. You want to slap me? Take 2. But for me, I can't believe Diddy had him on the shelf, Cuddy. That's all I got to say about it. He's one of the GOATs. All right, let's transition to another rapper, Meek Millie. Meek's not that bad. I liked Meek because I felt like when Meek came out and he has this type of raw street rap energy with like bar, like actually it can put the words together a little bit. Very impressive. You seen Meek from the younger days when he had the straight back braids and stuff like that. He really was going in on those, corner freestyles that they were shooting out in Philly. He deserves to be where he's at. A lot of people are going in on Meek today because he obviously has made a handful of questionable decisions. Haven't we all? We're all human, but his get highlighted more because he's famous. He has a new song with Lil Baby, and then there's some lyric in there about Kobe. And I don't know how I feel about it yet, but most people do not feel it's appropriate because obviously we're still barely even over a year removed from this incident. Meek says something to the effect that, like, if I go down with my chopper, I'll be another Kobe. Obviously, he's talking about the gun, but chopper, helicopter, Kobe died. It's a whole thing. People they're not feeling this shit. Meek doesn't really seem to care. And mainly because I think in his mind, he's just looking at it like it's just music and it's lyrics. And he's probably shocked that y'all actually figured out some of his bars, which for most people, it wasn't going to be hard because you heard Chopper and then you heard Kobe. I mean, when you hear Get to the Chopper, that's not even a rap. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger. So people know what choppers in regards to helicopter. We all know all that. So it wasn't like he was really trying to sneak one past anybody. Again, I don't really know how I feel about it because I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan, basketball player, all of that, man. Like, so there's that whole thing about that. And then obviously I am a big music fan. I like Meek. And I do have an understanding when it comes to this, that sometimes in order for you deliver, close out the verse, and make sure that shit hits hard, you sometimes have to say things that may not be very favorable. It does not excuse it. I'm not this. We're not doing this to excuse him in any type of way. Because there is a part of me that feels like, Meek, come on, Cuddy. You from Philly. Beans from Philly. You can't do Kobe like that. He from your city, bro. Like, that's tough. But at the same time, you can go back through all the history books and you can hear where people were going in on people and saying lines. People had, I mean, come on, man. When you ask people what's one of the greatest diss records of all time, right? Even though both these people were alive at one time, but think about how Hit 'Em Up starts out. When you think of disrespect, think about how Hit 'Em Up starts out. And again, I know it's different because both of them were alive at the time and all that type of stuff. But just from a standpoint of like major disrespect, like that's some shit we've heard. We hear niggas talking about assault and crimes and doing all like, yeah. So people say things that are crazy in rap. A lot of what people's complaints have been today are about his people surrounding him. Like, you mean to tell me you were in the studio with the producer and all of these people and they heard you spit that bar and not one person was like, come on, cuz this is a little bit, oh, this is in bad taste. Like, my thing would be, and I've had people do this to me about my shows. Hey, yo, this wasn't all that great. And you have to be like, oh, okay. And I trust them more because they kept it real with me. You have to wonder about the people that are with Meek and his circle, you know? Are they saying yes to everything because he's a paying for everything and there's money attached? I hope not. Because if y'all aren't keeping it real with him, you are actually going to be the reason why your bankroll shuts down. Because this is the type of stuff that nowadays people are not having. You get canceled for this. Do I think Meek should be canceled? No, but I feel like I wish he would have had a better response to this. I wish he, as an adult, grown-ass man, because you present yourself as such whenever you're trying to do prison reform and trying to fight on behalf of all these other people. You sound like you're rolling with intelligent people. You're friends with Hove. Did Hove not call you and be like, no, nigga, no, this ain't it? Like, nobody was like, come on, man, this is a bad move. So for him, I just wish he would have responded better to it and been like, yo, you know what? In the moment, I thought I was in my bag. And now that I hear it back, it sounds crazy. My apologies to Vanessa and the family, the other family. Like, maybe you don't have to even go that far. Just acknowledge that maybe you did some goofy shit. But like getting online and then being like, whatever he says, something like, oh, I know, I've seen this and people are sending it to me, I just don't care. Basically was saying he's not worried about what people are saying on the internet. You probably should be a little bit worried. Because you also have to remember that the people on the internet actually pay you. And you're probably thinking, no, the label pay. No. I'm talking about from the standpoint of, if people don't want to fool with your music, bro, you won't get paid. So you can't just dismiss this as if this is just not a big deal. It can't be a non-issue because look at how people feel about the person in question. It's the same stuff like when Eminem used to attack Michael Jackson, even when he was alive. Motherfuckers did not like that because of who Michael was. They did not like that. No, people didn't like when M killed Elton John, like to the point where they felt like it was important that he, they link up and do some shows together or something like that. And I don't even think it was just specifically about Elton. It was the fact that he was just attacking an entire community. So a little bit different, but even still, the people, once they speak, they're not having that. If you don't do the right thing after the fact, you won't be allowed to be here anymore. Again, it's hard for me to tell if I have decided whether or not I feel like it's disrespectful. The part I'm struggling with more is just the way he's handled it after the last 12 to 15 hours have gone by since the track was released and the lyrics. You're acting as if it's not a big deal. You got to do better, man. You're supposed to be grown at this point. And speaking of grown, if you have a choice between just trying to wait it out and survive a natural disaster or fly your ass to Cancun, what are you finna do? If you raised your hand for Cancun, then you would be doing exactly what Ted Cruz did. But Ted Cruz, again, here's another example of when the internet's not playing with you. We bullied him into flying back after only being there for barely 12 hours. The internet did that. So Meek, you better show the F up and correct this stuff, or you will be canceled too, partner. Ted Cruz, he's supposed to take care of the people. They say everything is bigger in Texas, not as big as Ted Cruz's ego and the audacity that him and his wife have. Because now apparently there are people who are closely connected to the family who do want to remain anonymous, who are leaking text messages that say on Tuesday night, Teddy and his wife have been sending out feelers and being like, yo, we're not trying to stay over here. Y'all trying to go over to Cancun, hotel $390 a night, no big deal. We got good security. They had already been setting this up. And then we seen Teddy at the airport. And then I want to actually get to this. I want to read it. The funniest part to me was when the word our was used, because our implies that the person writing the statement and the other people are all going through the same thing in that moment. And to some degree, yes, but to most degree, no. Ted was enjoying mimosas close to the beach, but he was also then trying to say that, you know, hey, we want to remain strong and da-da-da. Where is this freaking post at? Because this shit had me dead, bro. Maybe I saved it on the other account. I hope I did, because I want to read it. It's very important that it be read. It's crazy to think that somebody who's supposed to protect people, I didn't save it. What a goof. You're supposed to protect people during a natural disaster, and you have not done any of that. Even though obviously you as a man can only do so much, I feel like it's important to note that like his job is to kind of be in control of these situations. And the fact that they were diverting security resources from the people to make sure he could get to the airport safely to like get on the plane to go to Cancun, also crazy. Like, these are things where you're showing that you're putting yourself above the people. But when you were sworn into office, you swore to put the people above yourself. The other guy, I forget his name, just as corny. He was like the mayor or some shit, and he was a mayor in Colorado City and then somewhere in Texas. And he said some crazy shit to the effect of like basically blaming them. If you're not surviving this natural disaster, it's your fault. You should have had a better job and you should have had a better plan in place. And he basically saying that it's on the people. And then immediately after, because this is what cowards do, I mean, some of them doubled down, but some of them just walk away and quit. So he quit because he knew what he said was stupid. And it's also crazy that their entire state, and it's not a party thing. I'm only bringing this up because it's weird to me that their entire state is run by the Republican Party, yet they're blaming a lot of their misfortune this week on Democrats. But like, bro, y'all didn't prep your budget properly to where you could help the people. You never believed that this would happen to you. So you have no money to pay for people to come out and clear your roads. You didn't have trucks available. You didn't have all that ready. A lot of these other places have it ready because they want to make sure that they are prepared. It's weirdo shit, man, because you see that, but then you also see this nigga on an airplane heading to Cancun. And again, the internet got him up. And they got his ass back on that damn plane and heading back to Texas, where he need to be long. You need to freeze to death like these other people are doing. I mean, obviously, we don't want anybody freezing to death, but don't try to run away from it and then post a thing later after the fact talking about, well, you know, it's really tough for all of us right now, and we're gonna do our best to get through this tough time. Like, Cuddy, you're drinking wine coolers on the beach. My mom's house is flooded. My sister literally was calling me from like a makeshift shelter the other day. Because remember, I have family in Texas. That's just crazy. You see some of those videos, and my mom lives in a house, so it's a big deal, but not as big of a deal as if you were to live in an apartment where there's hundreds and hundreds of pipes worth of water, all bursting and flooding everything. These people's lives are basically over. And I get it. You have to make sure that you have enough power for the hospitals, but like, they got people over there playing with the shit like it's a goddamn thermostat, man. Like, turning on the power for a little bit so you get a little bit of heat and then be like, nah, we got to turn this off because we got to divert this back to the hospital. Like, you mean to tell me after all of these days, you don't have the power back on to where you can support the hospitals and support the people? And I know in some areas it is coming back on. It's not to say that people aren't working hard, because there are people in that state who still care about the other people that are around them. And they're doing everything they can to make sure that this shit gets corrected. The issue is the leadership. It's leadership, cuz. We've obviously seen examples where people can manage themselves and they can get things done, and they don't need an authority figure of any type. It's not that hard. If you have a group of people who are willing to just get the job done, it's easy to function. But a lot of our structures within our world are set up to have coaches, team captains, a leader, all these things, right? That's what these people are. That's what these people are. But these people are just rich people who are in these roles to ensure that them and their families have get out of jail free cards for a lifetime. And the way I'm able to come to that conclusion is because if you actually cared about the people within your state, you wouldn't have hopped on a fucking plane and left and then came back again. That's coward shit. Well, you should have doubled down and stayed on your vacation. And you should have just came out and been like, we already had this plan. I don't know what to tell you. I was already on this plane anyway before the snow hit. You just didn't know about it because you don't know all my business. I maybe would have had more respect for that if they were like, this is a family vacation. But now that we're coming to find out that it was none of that, this is I don't want to do what the other people are doing, so I'm going to leave. Now, listen, if you have the means to do so, no one's mad at that. We're not mad at that. But this is knowing that your team has a big game or some shit like that coming up, and then you just decide that you're not going to get on the team bus with everybody else. I'm going to meet y'all there. And then you go off and you do whatever you want for a couple of days. That's not how this shit works, bro. And then you come back giving the team speech, talking about we in this together, y'all. We're here together, y'all. Like, but how we working together on the fucking bus? Get out of here. It's that type of mentality that keep this whole country fucked up. You're probably like, what are you even saying, bro? That sounds crazy. The mentality of, I'm gonna sell you on the dream of we, but only be about me. That's what I'm talking about. And even if you are a part of the same party that he's affiliated with, if you are in denial about this, then you're brain dead, Cuddy. You're fucking brain dead. The money always seems to be more important to these people than actually saving the people within their region. You know what this feels like to me? And me and Gabby talked about this other. This just feels like what happened after 2006 Hurricane Ivan, 2008 Hurricane Katrina. This is what they fucking do. They wait days and days and days to send help. But if we were to get wind that another country was thinking about planning an attack tonight, they'll have 1 million troops deployed within the hour. Because you're prepared for that, right? Why not be prepared for some stuff like this? Why not? Because they don't care. You can go back through the history books, bro. One of the biggest things that all these people do is they spend all their time trying to build up their militaries because they're worried about things that have not happened yet. And then when other things happen, they don't have the resources they need to handle those things because they've diverted all of their effort and attention and funds to other things. It just happens. And this is not shade at the military, not blaming them. That was just an example. Because think about the things that we're prepared for. Think about this time last year. We see certain people getting killed, people showing up for peaceful protesting, and within days, National Guard, bam. Where the fuck is the National Guard right now? And they're probably waiting, ready and willing to help in any way that they can, because a lot of those people, that's what they do. But again, following orders. And their orders are probably just to stay put. This is not that serious. Why? Well, because the person who runs their shit is on a fucking vacation. So it must not be that bad. Because they don't give a fuck about IG videos. They don't care about the real stuff. We've been seeing all the real stuff. Ted lived in a world where the only thing he saw was a little bit of water on the ground and a little bit of snow, and figured the Texas heat going to kick back on. In about 2 or 3 days, all this stuff will be melted and y'all will be good. By the time that happens, these people's lives have already been destroyed more than once. And you have done nothing but sit on your ass and let them fall into the fire and basically burn. And you could have probably saved them. And not you personally, I'm just saying, y'all's leadership team. Y'all should have not pretended like you were above making sure that you had plans in place for certain types of natural disasters. Anything can happen. Ted thought he was finna be in Cancun for the week. Ted's back in the States. In Texas. Probably mad as shit because he now knows that he's going to have to spend the next however long answering for all of this type of shit. But I mean, I know I'm not worried about him. I was going to say don't worry because somebody will save him. One of his little friends will come and save him because that's what they do, bro. We talked about this yesterday. They protect each other. Y'all can be as mad at Teddy as you want to be. I bet he'll be on that plane by the weekend, back on that fucking vacation. Anyway, man, all this week and last week, man, I feel like there's a lot of talk around goats. Not the animal, just people who we deem as the greatest of all time. And because I've been talking about music, it's interesting that somebody popped up with a musical accomplishment. And I don't keep forgetting, but I think we as a whole keep forgetting how great this person is. And that person is Lauryn Hill. So Lauryn Hill becomes the first female rapper in history to have an album sell 10 million copies. I feel like, is this her only album? Has she even had another album since this? There's no need for it, apparently. 10 million copies, my nigga. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill finally goes diamond. Do you know how crazy that is? When was this album released? Like 99, 2000, 2001? Let's see. She's within a very small group of hip hop artists who have 10 million selling albums. And she's the first woman, 23 years after it was released, to endless critical acclaim and countless awards. Lauryn Hill's 1998 album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, has joined the Diamond Album Club. 10 million copies, bro. I feel like anytime I hear a cut off this album, it like restores your life a little bit. Hearing her voice, hearing her rap, hearing her sing, there's very few that can like put you in that space. The Lauryn Hills, the Jill Scotts, the Erykah Badus, the Whitney Houstons, the Rhapsodies, the early days of Nicki Minaj, and I'm saying just when I think about their best work, the type of vibe that they give you, they in those moments when they're doing their absolute best, you don't hear the gender. You shouldn't anyway. And I hate that they classify like this, but it is super dope because it needs to be acknowledged that this was a boys' club until the other day. And it's dope because now I hope we get to a point where we see more women go into this club. 10 million albums, bro. That's crazy. Steph's in the chat. Steph, what up? But 10 million albums. Unreal. She's one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. I really do think, like I said, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Rhapsody, And Nick really does have, she in the beginning, when Wayne first grabbed her and put her on, when you listen to some of what Nicki was spitting, it was like, yes. It's like you could tell that there was going to be a change within the game. So it's all impact too. Even when we talk about GOATs in sports, it's not just the stats, it's not just, the numbers. It's more about what's the impact like too. How did you help change a generation, When we look back at this type of stuff in 5-10 years, when you look at podcasting, you're going to remember two names. And they're both Joe. Rogan, Button. It'll be that. When you think of the greatest female R&B singers, for me, I'm always like Whitney Houston. It's not even close, bro. It's a no-brainer. And then, like I said, when you think of like great artists, Lauryn Hill, again, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, oh my God. Giving people life. That's what helps you get into the GOAT conversation. But shout out to Lauryn Hill, man. This is amazing. Shout out to all the women that's really out here hustling and getting after it. Fuck, man, I love y'all. I wish I worked as hard as y'all. And I know I probably could, but there's something within me as a man that I sometimes just be like, this should just be, because I'm shitty. I sometimes do be like, why is this just not my situation? And that's not how it fucking works. Because when you look at these types of accomplishments within these clubs that are specifically geared towards men based on the structures that have been created, when you see a woman dominate that, it's different. Because there's a whole, obviously there were 9 other people in there, in that club. At least 9, 10, 15 other people, man. I don't know how many it was. They said sold 10 million. Not a lot of people. But there's a hell of a lot of other people in there. And now she in there. So when they look around the room, it's no longer a locker room. It's a clubhouse. Everybody's welcome now. So shout out to Lauryn Hill. Another GOAT, man. Serena lost in straight sets yesterday to Naomi Osaka, who, again, this really was like the time when Jordan was playing for the Wizards and they played the Lakers, and it's Kobe versus Mike, and Kobe gave Mike 55. He didn't give Mike 55. He gave the Wizards 55. Easy. And that was when Jordan was like, here's the torch, pal. Pass over the torch. Serena, maybe, she said that if she was going to retire, we wouldn't know about it. I think people were thinking that because she lost, like now she's done. I don't think she's done. She's still in GOAT status. And she can be the GOAT while the next GOAT is being raised up. It's the same thing like as Kobe phased out and you started to see LeBron kind of like take over that reign as best player in the league. And don't argue that shit, because years ago, we have it on tape where Bron said, when people asked who's the best player in the league, he said Kobe. And even when they questioned, he said, who better than Kobe? Go back and check the tape, because even LeBron will tell you there was a time where Kobe Bryant was the absolute best player in the league. The torch had to be passed. And now we look at that as that's Bron. So we looked at it as this was Serena, and now it's probably about to be Naomi. So again, we're highlighting the wonderful accomplishments of these great women. And the age don't matter. Naomi's a youngster, and she's up there playing against the greatest of all time. Beat her in straight sets. That's a big deal, especially if you know anything about tennis. But again, shout out to all of these wonderful ladies. I'm very happy to have highlighted you on the show. It'd be wonderful if one day we can get an interview with Serena or even Lauryn Hill. Could you imagine that? I'd probably just be doing this the whole time. Anyway. All right. People were asking for Lent. I ain't gonna lie to you, Cuddy. I don't. I'm hoping who used to, use this body and all of these things. That's what I'm giving up. I know that's like a weird thing to Because most people give up like things like, I'm not gonna drink soda, or I'm gonna do this. Nah, fam. Like, my stuff is deeper than that. It's easy to give up things for a handful of days and then go right back to them. Like the stuff I'm talking about, I want to give it up and be done with it forever. So shout out to Steph. Steph sent me some. What is this? Alchemistics. Okay, it's a mist spray called Unbothered. You can't see, sprayed it in here. Obviously, you can see how the vibes are. I'm feeling great. Smile been on my face. It was already like that today because I told you I was goofing. I got this little rock will help cure my anxiety. So I'm gonna just hold this, keep this in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? That way, if I start to get stressed or my anxiety starts to flare up a little bit, I can just go into cool mode. And then also, oh my God, look at this little, I'm going to drip this when I, shower and bathe and all that, and let the good vibes just flow over the top of me, Cuddy. So for Lent, what am I giving up? This badass attitude. And I'm going to turn that into more positive energy that can be used to boost the show, boost and make better relationships with my people, strangers, all that, man. Good vibes are important this year. So I'm giving up all of the bad in hopes that we get the good vibes in return. So that is it. It's also tax season. This is the first year where I have not done my taxes the second I got that return because I already know that I'm going to have to pay into it. And I'm trying to delay that process for as long as possible. I probably will not do it until April 14th. I know that sounds crazy because the deadline is like the 15th or something, but it's TurboTax. It doesn't take very long. I don't need to be in a rush for y'all to tell me that I owe y'all money. All right? You owed $12K last year. Mine was like 16. They were like, but you know what? If you paid $1,300, we'll call it even. And I was like, oh, bet. I'll pay y'all when I feel like it. And then you know how a lot of people got these second stimulus checks? What do you think happened to mine? They ate that motherfucker. But it's cool because they're not getting that $1,300 from me. Take it off the money that you said that you was going to give me for this disaster shit, and you took it off of that. That's totally fine. I'm not even mad at that because I was able to bounce back from all that little bullshit. And actually, we are up. We are way up, Cuddy. Like, no, this is not a joke. I did not think I was going to level up the way that I did. Life is completely different now. So a lot of the stress that I once had, gone. Damn, 12 racks. Jesus Christ. 12 racks is a lot of money. And to get it down to 8, that's amazing. God, I wonder what mine's going to be like. I don't even want to know. Let's stop talking about it. What I should have done what most stereotypical black men do and just try to go lay up with somebody during tax season and then take their check and flip that motherfucker and then, put 36s on a Crown Vic. But that's fantasy life. Even though that's not actually anyone's fantasy, that's just stories that play out in the hood. But shout out to anybody that's in the hood flipping a tax return check, man. Listen, it's going to be tough for y'all this year because y'all not even really supposed to be outside like that. Steph says, hire me to do your taxes. Yo, Steph, I might. You do taxes, Cuddy? You do everything. I don't know why I'm over here playing. I used to know somebody that did taxes. Shout out to my friend Daniela. Every year she would do the tax thing. She always would offer, hey, you need your taxes done? I'm like, fam, I just go in and click the buttons on TurboTax. Information's already stored. It's just easy. Pay my $37 and then call it a day. But I don't like how on the commercials they be lying, talking about the shit is free. It's not free, fam. They charge you money for that. Y'all got to stop believing in TurboTax because they lie. All these people lied to you. None of this shit is ever free. Now, if it is free, leave it in the chat so I can get it free this year. All right, let's go back to some sports, man. Because we got this and one other topic, and then I'm bouncing. I didn't even realize we're already 40 minutes deep, man. You see how easy this is? And then I got to play another King Los record as we close out. Let me go ahead and cue it up. I want to get into real quick sports, and we're going to get into Carson Wentz. Max Kellerman has been on First Take all year and all year last year saying that he was trash. And I am somebody that when I saw him come out of San Diego, or not San Diego State, South Dakota State, he just looked like somebody that could make a couple of big throws, but I could tell he just wasn't going to be that good. They keep always referencing the fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but if you remember correctly, Carson Wentz did not do that for them. He was injured, and Nick Foles actually won them the Super Bowl. So as of this morning, Carson Wentz has now been traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Indianapolis Colts because his former quarterback coach or offensive coordinator is now the head coach in Indianapolis. Indianapolis gave up a second and third round pick for him, which I feel like was too expensive. Now, obviously, I'm going to make a joke because I always love saying this when players get traded, but I don't feel like he would have been worth the team's washer and dryer set. But if you were going to trade something for him, it was that. And then you just pay the money that you have saved to get a new washer and dryer. And maybe throw in a grilled cheese to sweeten the deal. Because he's worth about a grilled cheese sandwich. Y'all know how I feel about grilled cheese sandwiches. Trash. It's not to say that he couldn't ever be good. And I don't mean to be overly critical. But he also seems to be the type of guy who will go out, make all of the mistakes that the people on these networks spend the entire week highlighting. And then after the game, he'll find a way to deflect and make it seem like it's not him. So now he's going to go to Indianapolis and do that. You saw in Philadelphia where his backup, Jalen Hurts, former Alabama quarterback, where else did he play? He played at another school too. I think he played at Bama and got benched for Tua. And then he went to, was it Oklahoma, I think? Something like that. He went somewhere and he played well. He got to start a few games last year, and then you saw at the end of the season, they started winning games. There's no guarantees that he's going to be QB1 next year for Philadelphia, but at the same time, I bet it's a relief off his shoulders and chest, that Carson Wentz is no longer there to be a cancer for that locker room. And the only reason I say that is because you saw him pouting the second that Doug Peterson put him on the bench for Jalen Hurts. Carson made it very clear that he was unhappy. Philadelphia relieved Doug Peterson of his duties. And then even after that, they gave you what you wanted, but it still wasn't good enough. And so then you were like, oh, I want to demand a trade. Fam, you're not good enough to demand a trade. You did it and it's done now. But you need to understand, it's not like you're not Deshaun Watson. You're not being screwed and you're having your career wasted because Deshaun Watson is actually a good quarterback. You were just a guy who is average, maybe a little bit below average. You're probably the best backup QB in the league. I will say that. I will give him that. There's all of the starters, and then there's Carson Wentz. Maybe Jared Goff is the first best backup in the league. Carson Wentz number 2. But you did all this crying, all this pouting. You got exactly what you wanted. And now you're going to go stink it up in Indianapolis. My beef with Indianapolis, not only did they give up too much to get him, but they had a guy who helped lead them to a winning record not just a couple of years ago in Jacoby Brissett. And then because they had an opportunity to have Phillip Rivers for a year, they benched Jacoby Brissett and had Phillip Rivers play. The only reason they traded for Carson Wentz is because Phillip Rivers is no longer coming back to play NFL football. He's going to coach a high school football team because that's something that he wants to do. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, bet. Well, now you just put Jacoby back as your number 1 QB because you know he can do the job. But now you bring in Carson Wentz, you're going to have a quarterback competition. Your current number 2 quarterback, Jacoby, is better than the guy you just gave up a second and third round pick for. What the fuck is Indianapolis doing? You went from Andrew Luck to Jacoby Brissett, which wasn't a big deal, and then you went up to Phillip Rivers, and now rather than stay right there with Jacoby Brissett, you decided to go to Carson Wentz. Welcome to the basement. Indianapolis, if you are a fan of that team, you should be ashamed of the fact that they went and got a guy who can't do anything. He's terrible, okay? And I know I said that I was going to be nicer, but you got to understand, they paid this guy like $100 million. He got guaranteed money because they thought he was a star. Bro, he not better than my grandma, bro. All right, our last topic, because I wanted to get to the funny shit. And I appreciate that Steph and I, when we were talking earlier, we talked about some of the details of the story already. And I know this is the moment everyone's been waiting for. Could you imagine a scenario? And there's two sides of it, the male side, the female side. Could you imagine a scenario where you were involved in a situation where, if as a woman, you're with a man that is fully accepting and potentially telling you to wear his ex-wife's clothes? And could you also imagine being the type of man who would be like, yo, you know what you would look good in? The same outfit my last bitch wore. Dr. Dre literally has his new chick wearing his ex-wife's clothes out in public, according to the ex-wife. The new girlfriend of Dr. Dre is April Jones. You might know April Jones because that's Omarion's baby mother, who left him to go be with Lil Fizz, who was Omarion's bandmate and brother. And now she's with Dr. Dre and then wearing his ex-wife's clothes out in public. And it really does make me wonder that, hey, after all this time with all these different celebrities, you don't even have enough money to buy your own wardrobe? You haven't landed some sort of wardrobe deal? Because April Jones is not an unattractive woman. She's gorgeous. A little bit strange, I think. Some of this stuff is a little bit out of pocket, a little bit too much for me, if I'm being completely honest. But I don't feel like April is struggling to be able to finesse Dre. Like, Dre can't buy you new clothes. He has $1 billion. Half of that. But even that half can get you your own wardrobe. But instead, you're wearing his ex-wife's clothes. Now, we talked about Lori Harvey on the show yesterday and how we, low-key, a lot of us, we are celebrating the fact that she's out here in pimp mode. Here's the part of pimp mode that goes wrong. When you are so deep into pimp mode that you lose control of the car and then you let one of your hoes control it, and then they got you out here walking around in their ex-wife's clothes. Because you might think that, yo, she Omarion, Lil Fizz, and then you went to Dr. Dre. He's a billionaire, right? She's upgrading, pimping the game. This Lori Harvey, she went from this dude to that dude to Michael B. Jordan, pimping the game. But Lori's not wearing Mike's ex-chick's clothes. She has her own clothes. At the very least, she has her own clothes. That's important. Like, that just seems weird. Like, I can't imagine, like, starting to date a girl and she's like, you know what? I got you, Cuddy. I'm going to be right back. And then she comes out with a full outfit. I'm like, oh, shit. I'll be like, where are the tags at? And how do you already know my size? Why are there no tags on this? Are you expecting me to wear clothes that you've already had in the closet? That would imply, and then you are not a man yourself, so why do you have these clothes if not for another man bringing these clothes over here and leaving these clothes here? Why the fuck do you want me to wear some other nigga's clothes? It's the whole reason why I won't wear a tuxedo. I'm not wearing another man's fatigues. I know they clean it, but still. That's literally been my whole reason for it. If you ever ask me, ever want a tuxedo? No. Why not? Because I'm not wearing another nigga's clothes. That's the dumbest thing ever, because again, they clean it. And yes, I've gone bowling and I've worn someone else's shoes. I've tried on shoes at the store that somebody else has probably already tried on. I've even worn, me and my brother, we've worn our shoes, so yes, it sounds crazy, but I don't know. Well, full outfit, that just seems crazy, right? Right? I feel like if Charlemagne is giving out Donkey of the Day tomorrow, or if Shaq and a Fool, if they need to fill up some space on their countdown, April Jones has to be on there, because this is crazy. You're literally out in public caught wearing someone else's clothes. That's not how you pimp, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, thank you for watching the show, man. It's been Lunchtime TV. Shout out to Steph for joining the chat. Steph, thank you again for these wonderful gifts. I feel this feels great, man. I feel like I'm on my way up. I've already been up. We are up. But now I'm extra up. And I don't know if it's from the spray, if it's from the weed. It's something. But either way, I'm lit. There is no firm date. We don't know when this is going to happen. But last night, we tossed around and flirted with the idea of having an episode or a show or even just one little quick segment where we bring the ladies in and they're allowed to have a conversation, and it might get deep. And it's probably going to be all about sex, y'all. And my awkward ass will also be involved in this conversation. Now, Steph and I had a chat about this today, and I kind of just want to clear this up for the people. Although I am an experienced man, I am somebody that tends to be kind of kiddish when it comes to maturity around the conversation of sex. I have to make jokes. To me, it's all funny. All the words sound funny. And it also makes me doesn't make me uncomfortable, but I do get a little bit like, oh my God, what should I say? Because I don't want to sound crazy. But I also talk about so many other things where I make it clear that I don't really give a fuck about what y'all think that comes out of my mouth. And so why not be that same way in something that I do participate in? And it's an adult thing. We make it very clear that this show is not for children. So when you come to this, do not bring your kids. Don't have them sitting there when you watch my show. That if you're doing that, that's crazy. This is not for them. All right. And so when we have this episode of this segment, all these things, we're going to be in there talking crazy. They will most likely be in there talking crazy. I try to play my stuff close to the vest. And it's not that I'm ashamed or embarrassed. I don't know, man. It just feels personal. It really is. Any girl that I've been with, nobody has heard their stories. I've told a couple of stories about my little interactions from my teenage days, because at this point, and this probably is going to be sounding crazy to say, but I don't even know if some of these shorties are even still alive at this point. No offense, and I hope you're all doing wonderful, families healthy, blessed, all of that. But if I'm being honest, when I told y'all about the time where shorty, she brought her friend over, her friend was sitting on the edge of the futon and I was smashing chick on the futon. I don't know if those two people are even still in existence. So I feels okay to talk about this. You know how after 7 years, they shred documents? That's just what this is. Now, anything recent, you're not going to hear from me because it just, like I said, feels personal. But I know it's been told to me, and I didn't really notice it because in my mind, I'm hearing the stories, I'm processing. But I tend to make funny faces when people have conversations, and I think I give off the impression that I'm a bit uncomfortable, but it's mainly just because I'm not sure how I should respond or what I should say. But me and Steph are really good friends, so I'm sure once the conversation gets going, and also Priscilla, because Priscilla will join us. Priscilla's a good friend of mine. Once we get in that mode, it'll be okay, because offline, we all have these conversations, and they know I have zero filter. I'll say whatever. But a lot of times I'll just be getting a little bit nervous. That's all. I can be fine and kind of be a halfway working sex machine and still getting a little bit nervous. It happens, man. But anyway, be on the lookout. I don't know when that's going to be. We're in talks about it now. It's not going to be an everyday thing or anything like that, but we might just have one recording where we get into it. And it may not even just be them two. We might invite some other people to join the conversation. We'll see. I gotta make sure I invite people that's not going to be in here yelling and screaming over each other, because I want to be able to hear the conversation and hear the jokes. And you know what? I might be in the corner with my notepad out, because you never know, man. You can learn something new every day. And I'm trying to make sure that going forward, have the shorty screaming. Anyway, I'm going to get up out of here, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow, potentially. Let me give y'all the schedule. Monday through Thursday, guaranteed. Friday show, optional. Saturday show, optional. So you might see me tomorrow, you might not. But if you have not, go back and review all the shows from this week. You'll find some gems. You'll probably like them. I've had multiple different hats. My beard has looked better and worse during some of the show. Just take a look, man. Like and subscribe. Do all the thing. Next week, or potentially tomorrow, probably next week, because I want to start the week off repping this stuff. But Steph has businesses that I need her to talk about on here. Because one of the things I do is I like to highlight my friends' accomplishments. And what I want to do is when the thing that I purchased from her company arrives, I want to be able to highlight it then and hopefully have her at least in the chat to be able to talk about this stuff. That way, other people who are watching and listening, they can go to the site in that moment and they can buy. All right. All right, y'all, man. It's Lunchtime TV. I'm out. Maybe once I figure out where the button is at. And that's what she said.